because I want to take the opportunity, this opportunity, which is one of the main reasons why this press conference was called for, to apologize to their viewers, to all Nigerians who saw a show of shame between myself and the former national chairman of APGA. For a present national chairman and a former national chairman to sit down and be struggling for paper in front of a live television is not acceptable. And please, I would like Nigerians, particularly the audience of channels, to please forgive us, forgive me, and I promise that such behavior as a national chairman of a political party will never, ever, ever happen again. I will also take this opportunity to come back to an area which I said I will not talk about again. The area is on the area of the leadership of APGA, which is over. It has been over for a while, but we all know what has happened in the last few months. And finally, the Supreme Court have done their review and come up with a judgment on the 24th or 25th of this month. It is so clear and very, very unambiguous. One particular point that was made very clear in that judgment is that the issue of the leadership of APGA was not in contention. The national chairmanship of APGA was not in contention in the Supreme Court. What was in contention in the Supreme Court was the Deputy National Chairman South and the Deputy National Chairman North saying I had been suspended, really, at the lower court. It climbed all the way to the Supreme Court. The Court of Appeal threw out their whatever they were going for, and when they came to the Supreme Court, the case was settled. As we all remember, at the lower court, it was affirmed that the Convention of Owerri was a legitimate convention and that I was suspended as the national chairman of APGA. Finally, the Supreme Court has squashed all that. They have not reaffirmed me. What they have done is that they have no business with that aspect. What they've told us is that the removal of Chief Edozie Njoku as the national chairman of APGA is an internal affair and it is not justiciable. You cannot discuss the removal of Chief Edozie Njoku in any court of law apart from in the party. It is categorically clear there. I don't want us to keep going backwards and forward, backwards and forward. What everybody must do is, if you have any doubts, read the judgment yourself, and all your doubts will be cleared. APGA needs to reconcile. We are facing more on reconciliation. There are also 3 elections coming up in a twinkle of an eye, in Kogi, in Bayelsa, and in Imo State. A timetable is going to be rolled out tomorrow, and that is timetable that we are now going to work hard to see how we could get our party together at the shortest period of time. Please, whoever has been offended or hurt in the process of this struggle, please don't take it out on APGA. Just know that in my language, they call it ndorondoro chichi, pulling for power. And in the process of pulling for power, please accept all our apologies. I call on Oye again. I call on all the former members of the NWC. I call on all the people in the wards. I call on all the people in the local government. Let us unify and move this beautiful party called APGA forward. APGA has been very fortunate to have had 4 different governors. Tons and tons and tons and tons of federal House members. Tons and tons and tons of House of Assembly members. A few senators. We in APGA should become more cautious to the people that vote us in. And they are very disappointed in us at the moment. we need to address that. I also call and I ask that it should be looked into why a federal high court judge, knowing that a Supreme Court judgment had just passed a judgment a day before, and also their CTC had not been released, was allowed, I don't know how, to be relying a judgment on something that I'm sure he's very embarrassed today to be seeing that judgment. I call on all our people in the judiciary, we should all calm down. I always heard that Omotosho was a very high-level, responsible judge. I'm not saying he's not, but a lot is there to be desired about. I just can't understand how a Supreme Court can have a judgment today and the next day you come out with such statements. Such statements incite people to say and do things they shouldn't do. We must all be very, very careful. Let's move all these things aside and please rebuild the party. Myself and the NWC are going into a meeting in the next few days and will come out with some policy statements on certain areas. I don't know what to say anymore because this battle has been raging and going on for over 4 years. And all I say, I thank a few of the pressmen who take out time to read these documents and have an opinion of their own. And I advise the others to read more and follow facts, because Oye always knew that he was not the national chairman of APGA. And because we who are the press have not called them out more, have used them to carry out the greatest fraud any political party has ever seen in the history of Nigeria. Let bygones be bygones, but please, let us look more into statements people make. Let us look more into when someone says somebody has been affirmed, we rush and we print it and say someone has been affirmed. Go and read the judgment. Producers, spend the night, read it. And then you will now know how to react to these in the future. I say thank you very much, and if there's any questions anybody has to ask, I'm willing to answer them. Thank you. Questions. First one is the CTCs were released yesterday. Before the end of tomorrow, INEC will be served. You can't be talking to INEC unless they've received the document. And from back channeling, nearly everyone who have spoken to INEC have said enough is enough. Enough is enough. This charade has gone on long enough. What was the second question? Well, as someone said earlier on that I should come and interpret, I feel that if you've read the judgment that came out yesterday, the Supreme Court judges have made all the interpretations you need about the 21st of October. You don't really need mine. What I advise you to do is to take it and spend some time reading it. And even the producer, give it to him to read. And then he will now go and inquire from the Supreme Court. Is this really from the Supreme Court? I can't, even a judge cannot interpret a fellow judge's judge, let alone me. I can't interpret it. But the Supreme Court went so deep into interpreting the 21st of October judgment and told you why I am the national chairman of APGA. Had to do with a letter that the retired justice had come out to write. I'm very, very happy that that was addressed fully in that judgment you have. And so I keep advising, it is very pertinent that when these documents come out, that the press should be the first to digest it. And laymen like us should now be barraged with questions coming out of that. That was addressed. The second one is to do with Soludo. I know that you know that this CTC just came out yesterday. I'm sure that maybe it has gotten to him today. So I mandate you as a very agile pressman to go to him and find out what he thinks of the solution. And I am just I'm the one who is literally coming from the outside. I'm sure you know the story of of APGA. So I would like you to be mandated to approach him and find out his position on the current Supreme Court amendment. And then on the other one about the senators and the Federal House, and anyone who flies the flag of APGA and wins a seat should be very commended. As I said earlier on, there is an NWC meeting that is going to be held, and the NWC will come out and make policy statements. That statement you are looking from my mouth is, and you know, a policy statement. Justice Omotosho the court is his court, so he's entitled to handle his court the way he deems fit or he likes. But I would believe, or I would think, that knowing that a Supreme Court amendment had been made and a judgment coming out in a matter of days, that he should have been very, very cautious of making pronouncements that now when he looks back at his statements, bearing in mind he's a lower court and the Supreme Court is making such strong statements, he will look back and ask himself, why did I really do this? I don't know why, I wasn't there, and I can't say anything, the reason why, but his statements were a bit too strong, and he kept saying things about it was just going to be a change of name. The amendment wasn't just a change of name, so obviously he had not seen the corrected judgment. So he had no right to be making statements on something he had not seen, and also now giving a judgment on something he had not seen. I don't know him, and I won't accuse him of anything, but I am sure today that he's going to be asking himself, how did I find myself here? Whereby everybody is shouting, Omotosho, Omotosho. That's what he will keep asking himself. And that shouting will not end, because politics is a very terrible game. And when you are going before politicians, you have to come with thoroughly clean hands and when you are going for equity. That's all I have to say there.
I think we need to really be specific. Let's get the specifics here.
I might sound brash answering that question, but I would like to put a few things to you. Nigeria is not a banana republic. We are not baboons. There is always a process to things. A judgment came out yesterday. A certified true copies came out literally this morning. If you are going to the police, you have to serve them. If INEC are going to respond to you, you have to serve them. They have to read it. They have to respond. We are always too much in a hurry in this country. If you also remember, a few months ago, I was taken to court in Buhari, and I said, everything will be sorted out, but the process is drip, drip, drip. I should be more in a hurry to take my seat than you. But I'm saying to you, we are not animals. We need to take things with law on our side. Supreme Court has given us the major ammunition first and foremost. He has gone and got an arrow from Federal High Court. You answer me, Federal High Court and Supreme Court, do they have anything in common? The answer is no. When the letter, I told you that from back channels, INEC have said, send us the CTCs and we will respond. So please, gentlemen, I've had calls upon calls, let us take dogs, let us take police and go and invade the office. I will not operate from that level of gutter. Things will be done properly.